Executive Chef Mike Sater of Salty's Bar and Grill at Springbrook Golf Club. You have a very storied career, and I hope you share a few stories with us. I've been a couple that I've been made aware of. Tell us about cooking for the Emperor's Dinner in Beijing.
So every year, the Emperor would bring over 4 American chefs, not all at the same time, about once a quarter, and you cook your food from your restaurant for a period of about a month with their team. So it gives their team the opportunity to see all sorts of different foods, and my chef was picked, so I went over, I guess that had been late 90s, and you have one translator for about 70 people working. You had a list of things that they were supposed to have ready, and then they didn't because they didn't know the names, so then you're just kind of eating your way through the kitchen trying to figure out what will work and what won't work and going through the cooler. And oddly enough, the only sign in the Beijing airport at the time that was in English says, "Do not bring cured meats in this airport." And I have a 40-pound bag of cured andouille and salamites and tasso and a few other things. But luckily, they got me out of the airport before we went to jail. And at the end of it, you do a dinner for him and 799 of his favorite people. And if he likes it, he does a dinner for you the next night. And that dinner is where I learned a few of my new favorite foods. From deep-fried scorpions, where they take live scorpions and deep fry them in a wok, put them on a stick, and it's like spicy popcorn. It's fantastic. To braised camel paw, which, if any of the older people remember their grandpa giving them plug tobacco, and it expands in your mouth, huge. Braised camel paw does the same thing. Looks like little 1-inch golden cubes of Jell-O, and when you put it in your mouth, it's like somebody shoved a 5-pound roast beef in there. But it tastes great, and the dinner began with live green snake, and that kept showing up in various forms and pieces and parts all the way through the dinner. But a lot of fun. Glad we did it.
And Julia Child's 83rd birthday, you made the cake for her. Can you share that experience? How did that come about? What was that like?
Julia, the first time I talked to Julia was completely a mistake. I was working with my chef in Napa, and we were trying to figure out this cake that he wanted, and it kept making a mistake. And he said, "Go upstairs, spin my Rolodex, grab Julia, call her, and ask her what we're doing wrong." Julia was our pastry chef. So I went up, found Julia, called her. It turns out it was Julia Child. So we had a nice long conversation. She said hi to my chef, and she's known him forever. And then go forward quite a few years, I was running a restaurant in Seattle for the Kempton Group and found out that Julia Childs was coming to dinner. And I realized that her birthday was just a month or so, maybe 2 months before. Inside of her Baking with Julia book, she references a chocolate bundt cake with a creme brulee center. It's not really possible. The timing of getting the chocolate cooked well enough to be able to put the brulee in, to cook the brulee and have them both come down at the same time is almost impossible. Then you have the extra element of having to burn the sugar on the top, multiple levels. I like to do 4 levels of sugar coating to get the proper brulee consistency. So I went down to engineering and grabbed some steel and started making forms and figured out how to do it and presented it to her unaware of her. She was unaware that I was doing it. And Julia's a rather tall woman. Most people don't understand how tall she really is. And she's in the middle of a 300-seat restaurant, and I set it down, and she starts screaming and jumps up for joy in her Julia voice and Julia way, and arms are flailing, and chairs are flying, and people are running everywhere. And she's like, "How did you do that? That can't be done. How did you do it?" So she was very happy with it. Unfortunately, she passed a few months later, but yeah.
What is the best meal that you've ever eaten that someone else has cooked?
The best 2 items. The best meal was probably the last meal I had with my chef in Knights Valley at his house with my wife. And it was simple roast chicken and homemade bread and foie gras and fresh peaches grilled. That was probably the best meal. I mean, I've had Thomas Keller's French Laundry. He did a 22-course meal for me when I left Napa to go to Seattle. That was a fantastic 6-7 hour experience. Had some really good food everywhere. The best the quintessential existence of food and wine for me was I was cooking at the Masters of Food and Wine at the Highland Inn in Carmel, and one of the chefs from France had made a red wine 23 years earlier, and almost 4 years earlier he made a blue cheese to go with that red wine to be a private little amuse-bouche for the chefs that would be at the Masters of Food and Wine. So you'd take a little bite of cheese, and then you'd drink a little sip of wine, and it was just a culinary rabbit hole. Everything kept giving back and taking and giving, and the more you had, the deeper it got, the broader it got. It was just a fantastic experience, and it's still probably the food experience of my life.
Well, just in our brief conversation so far, you've already alluded to the fact that you've cooked all across the country. Not only that, but all across the world. You've now spent several years in northern Michigan. What do you like about the food scene here?
Trees, mushrooms, water, fish. It's just fantastic. I mean, we fell in love with this side of Michigan about 30 years ago. My wife grew up going to Cedarville. She had friends that had a cabin over there. And then we decided to camp over in Boyne at Young 5 years ago without our camper. And we were driving to Petoskey and found Walloon. And the Walloon Inn has just fantastic, it's an older style food. It's kind of a throwback, but just fantastically done. But everything up here is done at its level to the best they do. And it's a lot of fun that way.
And tell us about what you've been working on at Salty's Bar and Grill here at Springbrook Golf Club.
Well, we opened this up to try to harken back a little bit. A few decades ago, this was a restaurant that a lot of the people here remember coming as kids, and it was packed and full. And so we're trying to keep a good price point, but offer some really, really nice, fun, different food. Everything from our peanut butter and jelly wings. We have a fried bologna sandwich that's $9 that so far everybody that has even thought of trying it comes out of Dearborn Meats in Detroit, and they just fall in love with it, and it's just like they remember. It comes with about a half-inch slice of sweet onion on it. It's Vidalia this time of year. It will be Texas 1015s when we get to their season. And then we will do dinners. We do specials every night. We did a nice Polish dinner the other night. We made our own glumpkis. We had a Polish sausage. We had some beautiful pierogies and some sauerkraut. And the sauerkraut we cheat on, we bring that from the brinery in Ann Arbor because they just do a beautiful job. So we try to highlight as many Michigan items as we can. Our vinegar is made in Michigan. We have everything we can that is made here, we try to pull in and utilize. Our wine list is a lot of local wines, so you can grab some nice by the glass, and there's some fantastic bottles and even a few from across the pond that are very food friendly and very reasonably priced.
How do you keep people on their toes in a culinary sense, making sure the menu doesn't grow stale and encouraging people to order something maybe outside of their usual?
Well, that's what I like wine dinners for. My high-end restaurant, the highest one that I did, is we would do a 5 and a 7 course prefix menu. So that's the only thing you get. You don't really get a choice. You come in and you sit and they have that. And I would write wine courses with them, wine flights. I'd change the menu every night for 10 years. So nothing was ever the same. The cooks get to learn a lot. You get to practice more of your strengths and talents and techniques. You get to come up with a few and create them. So that's what we do here is the specials. We will be doing the wine dinners. The special, we change it every night and try to make it something that's a little unusual but priced right, and just keep pushing our cooks. We butcher our own fish. A lot of techniques that they don't normally use anymore. They'll go to culinary school, they might spend a day on Mexico or a day on fish, and that's not enough to really learn how to do the things.
What is the biggest misconception people have about running a restaurant?
That it's easy. It's always fun. The idea of a restaurant is fun for most people. The amount of work at one point I had 7 restaurants going.
Wow.
One was my ultra high end, and then I had a very large Italian bistro, and a bunch of things in the middle, from a Mexican little joint to coffee shops to bars to this and that and the other. And I would leave Tuesday night, Wednesday morning at 2, and I would come home Sunday at 6. Because to do scratch food, you have to be there to make the food. We make all our own breads. Here we make our own pizza dough. So the more scratch there is in the food, the more difficult the food is, the less money you make. So you have to do it just for the love of doing it and the reaction of people.
Final question for you. You taught high school culinary arts for a spell. Someone's listening who wants to make cooking a career, who wants to become a chef, and they're working their way through high school. What advice do you have for him or her?
The culinary programs are fantastic. We have 2 of them right here. We have another one down in TC that's an adult version. It's a good idea, but the best advice I can give them is find a local restaurant that you like and ask to do a stage. Technically, it's called a stagiaire, but try to set up and do a stage. If you're still in high school, you'll need your parents to sign off on it. It'll put you in the kitchen for a shift, and you can see what's going on. When I was teaching, I taught 26 students. 23 became chefs. One took it a little further and asked me to put him in stages in almost every city in the country. So he would go to places that I know and work in the kitchen for 2 days to 5 days. But then you actually see what's happening in the kitchen. Unfortunately, it's a little bit like everything else. Even doctors, they go through it wanting to be doctors, but they don't really know what running that office is going to be like and dealing with the insurance companies. Mm-hmm. And cooking's the same way. The restaurants look good from what you see on the outside, but the amount of work. So the easiest way to determine that is to actually go work in one and see if you can play. We just did a stage the other day for a young man that came out of Petoskey's culinary program, and he did 4 hours here, and then he did a 6-hour shift where I was doing banquet with him, and he seemed to have a lot of fun and realized that, boy, it's a little more work than he thought.
Mike, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.